Oh, Samuel, Arosi, everyone, thank you, thank you. Oh, plenty, plenty. And compliments of the season, happy new month, happy new everything. God will be with us all. So let's not waste so much time because I need to start rolling with you and fasten your seatbelt. And at the same time, we want to thank you for giving out time this evening. Most people will probably be at Owambe or somewhere night out, 17:55 and all of that, but you decided to just give your time to us today. Thank you so very much. We appreciate you because one thing about learning is that you will never go wrong unless at the point of action, at the point of performance. That is when someone can go wrong because whatever will be told will be something that you can work with. Thank you so much. Let's go. If you can see my slide when I start sharing, please let me know. I'm sure you can see my slide. Can you see my slide? Yes.
Well, okay.
Yes, we
Yes,
can.
ma.
Yes, yes, you can. You can see the curtain opening. Yes, you can. So we are going to go straight and we won't waste much time, but you will also learn one or two things. What I want to reassure us is one, whatever you have in terms of questions, put into chat box. Occasionally we go to the chat box and we see what we'll answer. If you feel that, oh, I wouldn't want to ask because it may take time for us to break down whatever, keep it till tomorrow. We will marshal it out when we are physical or on site, or those who are probably will be online. We'll have more time tomorrow morning by God's grace. So, and please feel free to ask any questions that you have. Hey, please, can you everybody mute? Everybody mute, 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 because when you don't mute, you interfere and people will be talking. And remember, this is being recorded. We don't want to hear that. Please mute, mute as we are recording. So, so please mute. Then if you have any question, don't be shy to ask, okay? Because in adult class, all questions are okay, all answers are correct. Because in adult class, Baba no dey fail, all answers are correct. We will not say, no, that's a stupid answer, that's a nonsense. Out of nonsense, we can make sense out of nonsense. And we're always saying that you should learn to relearn and unlearn and all of that. So it's a cycle. So don't worry. So we now go straight to what we want to discuss this evening. And what is that? You say, most people say your attitude determines your altitude. But in this situation, we say your attitude determines your leadership style. Leadership style. We are not talking of altitude now, wherever you want to go to, but we are HR, and people look at us as leaders of thought within the organization. We are part of the policy makers in the organization. Wherever you find yourself as HR, you will always be that person that they reckon with. So, what that means, people will always look up to you for some leadership uh, inspirations and whatever. Not necessarily motivation, inspiration to inspire them that they should work well. That is me. And on this slide, you could see that I was shaking the hand of the immediate vice president of Nigeria, the vice president, Professor Yemi Oshibajo. And I just want to share that anointing with you because since the year I shook that hand, and let me see, 2017, that I shook his hand. I've not washed that hand. See the hand. You see, it was the right hand. I shook his right hand and I've not washed it since then. And please take the anointing because you are going to shake people who are probably greater than him. Okay, that is the anointing. So, what are we going to discuss this evening? We're going to talk about your attitude determines your leadership style. So, we're going to examine organizational culture. What has culture got to do with your leadership style? We're going to define leadership style, understand corporate bones. You need the need to serve, the need to serve. What does serve mean? How do you serve people as a leader? Attitude, define the role of attitude in leadership, then leadership competency matrix. On that matrix, where are you? Okay, the strategies for developing a positive leadership attitude within the workplace. Then we have the takeaway before we now discuss if you have the time. So let's look at the time and see. Okay, we just have it's just 8:37. Give and take, we should finish before 10 or 10 o'clock. So fasten your seatbelt. Let's go on. What do we mean? The importance of leadership in Nigerian corporate setting, the influence of company culture. We're going to talk about culture. What is the culture of the organization? Is it different from the culture that the organization finds itself, sorry, the context where the organization finds itself, the impact of employee engagement and productivity, that is the leadership, that the impact of that employee engagement and productivity, then role in navigating local and global challenges. Remember that if we take a concentric circle, the individual, the department, or the individual or the team, the department, the organization, the national, then the international, like that. We evolve from one level to the other. So how do we now determine the organizational culture? So there are three methods. First, reflection. Second, by imitation, then which is the easiest. Okay, then the third one by experience. People always say that we learn from experience, but we always say that don't wait to learn from your own experience, learn from other people's experience, because if you want to learn from yours, the person may not have the opportunity to come back and replay, because it may be a one chance thing and that is all. So what is organizational or corporate culture? They are informal rules. We say, oh, it's our culture. Is it written? Is it written? They are usually informal. We met it like that, and it's been working for us. And so, you coming from one place, you just find yourself getting entrenched in the culture of the organization, their norms, their values, their beliefs, and ways of that we behave within the system. Is our culture. It's not part of what is written. It's in our DNA. Like some organizations, they will say that, okay, we don't call ourselves by Mr., Mrs., or whatever, or chief. We call ourselves by the first name. Okay, it's not written, but it's just that is the way we believe. That's the way, so that all of us will feel free to work together within the team. So we have team, and the issue of team working or teaming was in the private sector before, but now it's gone into the public sector. So everybody's talking about teaming and whatever. So some of these things are not written. That is the culture. Okay, it's our culture. It's not something that we write. So the collective programming of the mind, which distinguishes a member of one group from another. Okay, in those days, some of those in the banking sector or wherever, they will say, "Oh, we have dress down Friday and all those." And some people will say, "No, on Friday we wear native." Some other places will say T-shirt. It's not written, but it's something that, oh, this is what we want to be known by. So culture is a web. It gets you trapped in. Like uh let's say most all of us know cobwebs. So when the spider spins the web, okay, it's looking for who to catch. But it's not like we are looking for who to catch in culture, but it's something that once you find yourself in, you have to see it, you have to believe in it, you have to feel it, and you have to have your five senses ready to be able to say, yes, I'm inside of this place. I'm committed to what we believe in. So it's a system of shared meaning. So that it's not that it's something that other people will say, oh, this is crazy, but it makes meaning to us. But those who are in that culture. So a poor culture can lead to staff disengagement. Some, especially everybody's talking about the Gen Zs and they and that. So the Gen Zs will say, oh, this is a toxic place. I don't think I want to work in this place. They have what it takes to be able to, they just say the culture is not right. So that's why you see some of these Gen Zs, 2 years they're out of one place. How you can hardly see anyone that will say 5 years in a particular place and they want to move because they feel that the culture is not right. So when the culture is not right, the staff disengage. Not necessarily moving out. Some will be there. And there's what we call presenteeism. You'll be there and not contributing because you just look front and back and say, where do I go to? There's no job out there. So let me stay here. At least I'm present And the more they see me, at least they pay my salary. 30 days make a pay. And also, it can lead to customer dissatisfaction. They move elsewhere because you are not the only one in the business. They do something else, they go elsewhere, and that is loss of profit, loss of surplus, loss of whatever you call it. It will affect the organization eventually. So it takes months or years for those of us that are coming into a new culture to understand. So as HR, we need to be able to get our people to understand that culture is something that you get entrenched into. It is part of what you tell them when they come for onboarding or for orientation. Some of them call us orientation. When you come in and say, this is how we do things here, it's not written. Okay, you go to some organization from the gatekeeper till whoever you meet on the corridor everywhere is good morning, sir, good morning, this, good morning. Unless when you go to some other places, they have their noses in the air. Nobody. You pass. Only one or two that just feel, I feel like greeting. But some organizations, they will greet you from the gate till you go to whichever office. So culture is seen in so many areas. Look at Look at the screen now, what we have there. You see that culture can be seen in your dress code, your language, your goals, and everything around it, and some other things. The way you behave, your thoughts and rules and policies. It's always something that they will see inside of you and say, oh, the culture of this organization is right. So, and these are some of the things that affect the attitude of the leaders, the language, their attitude, their behavior, the way they think. Okay, that is there. So let's look at what we can do with this culture. So looking at it before we settle into culture and leadership and attitude, let's look at our leaders' way. Our leaders' way, they are supposed to lead. They're supposed to share knowledge, vision, and empower others. They have to improve what they met on ground. Okay, seek opportunities and tell people how they can go and do what they have to, and inspire others to build trusting relationship within the organization. These are some of the ways in which leaders should behave. But do they do that? We'll see that later. So in organizations, you see that leadership is usually from top to bottom. If you look at this, our triangle, the CEO down to the employee on the left-hand side, these are the individuals. On the right-hand side, from vision to challenge is what we expect them to do. In between is they should set direction, develop strategy, performance management, manage the execution, perform day-to-day activities. So if you look at it across, what is expected of a supervisor? Supposed to manage execution of policies that were sent down from management or the boardroom. And when we look at it, where are we? HR, management. Okay, if you are part of management, performance management, what are you supposed to do? Set objective for those that are down, the supervisor and the employees. Why? Because the policies came from up and you are supposed to be there. So that means you see that the HR, if you look at this diagram, we are in between management and the employees. In between management and the employees. So when you face management, you are backing the employees. When you face the employees, you are backing management. So we are the middle belt that we need to learn to manage the business, leave the value, share the vision with others, and make others to be successful. These are the leader levels that we find ourselves as HR. So now let's look at leadership matrix on the right-hand side. Where are you on this? A visionary, a transactional, transformational servant leader, autocratic, democratic, laissez-faire, which I feel nobody is anymore. Maybe in those days, some people are, but if you are a laissez-faire HR or a leader, you will stand out like a sore thumb. People will see you for who you are. Are you a situational leader, charismatic, coaching? So that is why John Quincy Adams says, if your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. That means You are not taking the walk in the park alone. If you take the walk in the park alone, that means you are not a leader. So what is leadership style? Is the approach and behavior that you use to guide others, motivate them, and manage your team. It's a quality. Some people don't have to be HR or CEO or whatever before they become leaders. They just do it because they feel they need to influence, they need to motivate others to behave the way the organization wants us to behave, to move the organization forward. It's not about me. So, where are you on this matrix? Let's move on. We mentioned the Gen Zs that they talk about toxic culture, toxic organization. What do you do? When they say your organization is toxic, what do you understand by that? They don't bother about the employees. Whether you are sick or you are well, just come to work. Whether you are sick or well, is your welfare being taken care of? Work-life balance. They ignore employee feedback. They underpay employees, because there are some organizations that even the minimum wage, they still say they cannot pay, but they want to get more for the little that they are paying. Tolerating toxic behavior, favoritism, vague job expectation, micromanagement. Some of us are guilty of that. You give them jobs, but you not let them do it. Okay? They control and they monitor too much. We are not saying you should not control, you should not monitor. Too much. Okay? Lack of recognition, overworking employees, and poor communication. We're going to talk about that later, because that is part of the problems of some of us as leaders. We have talked about the matrix. Now we want to see some leadership styles of some top CEOs that we know. Jeff Bezos, you know him. Elon Musk. I said John. Jeff Bezos is a visionary leader. Okay. Then Elon Musk is always decisive. That is why he couldn't stay with, he couldn't work with Trump. Their relationship went sour within a short period of time, because he is the type of person that wants to call the shots. So then Tim Cook, empowering. Then Marisa Mayer, goal-oriented, mentor, satire, Nodelia. Then inclusive, Mary Barra. These are all white people. You wonder, why have we not come to this ladder of the style that the world can pick something from Africa? Yes, we can. From Nigeria? Yes, we can. But these are some of the things that we need to work on. One day, we should look at it and see what we are talking about. So let's look at this. We are still building the blocks of leadership. We talked about the matrix. We talked about top CEOs of some organization. Now, the one that I want us to settle on is what you call the catalyst leader. The catalyst leader, which is quite different from all those six that we saw, all those servant leader, laissez-faire, democratic, transaction, and all of that. Who is a catalyst leader? You look at it. He listens, he asks questions, he fosters innovation, he provides balanced feedback, builds trust, focuses on people's potential, collaborates and networks, empowers others, encourages development, energizes and mobilizes, aligns action with strategy. Can we get somebody like this? A tough question. However, we can pick some of this as HR. Let people know you for one or two or three of this. Then you'll be there. You'll be a leader. Okay? You don't have to have all of this, all the pluses to be able to be a catalyst leader. But you can take some that people will know that, when I go to HR, it's usually the last bus stop. Nobody. If HR cannot solve my problems, then nobody will. So the greatest discovery of my generation is that people can alter their lives by altering their attitudes of mind. And that is what we want us to get to know this evening. So that is why we are going to go to those 4 boxes. Unconscious incompetence, conscious incompetence, conscious competence, unconscious incompetence. Let's break it down. Unconscious incompetence. I'm not aware that I'm not competent. So I'm not aware that I'm incompetent. So this type of person is ready to learn. When you see such a person in your team, just pick on them because they're like green, they are like humus soil, ready to absorb and grow. Conscious incompetence. I'm aware that I don't know it, but what effort are you making? You as HR, you discover such a person. What effort is that person making? I don't know. I don't know. I know that I'm not competent. Are you making attempt? These are some of the things in which in our performance management matrix or whatever that we put, we should look at it and break down this so that you make that staff or employee to write what he needs, that because he's conscious that he cannot do it. So that means that person, you can change his incompetence to competence because he knows I can't do it, but I see others doing it. So what can I do to develop myself to be conscious, to be competent? Because I know. Then the third one, conscious competence. These are people that are hard to manage. They know that they know. Is it that they want to lord it over you? Or they tell you that without me, this team will not move because I know I'm the heart of the team. What do you do to this type of people, HR? As leaders, what do you do to this third category? Then the fourth category, unconscious competence. I don't know that I have such ability. I don't know, but you have brought it out to me. So what do? That is where you, as HR, bring your influence on this person and say you can do it. Let me give you an example. Like, let's assume there is a fire in a building and I was there with them and they say, with that woman's age, before, how will she come out and all those things? Before they will say, Jack Robinson, have scaled the fence, the perimeter fence, and I'm out. Before the younger generations, and they say, Mrs. Igbe, we thought you would be the last to come out of that. I said, I didn't know that I have that ability self. That means inside of me, I didn't know that I could do it. But something propelled me. So that is why as leaders, we should look out for such people and how can we help them to help our team. They have what it takes to lead our team, but they are not conscious of it. So bring out the potential in them and let them lead the team. So now let's look at whatever you do, serve. Whatever your leadership style, serve. Okay? So serve now becomes an acronym for your style, substance, and satisfaction. Empathy, resourcefulness, initiative. Then you go the extra mile. What value are you bringing to the table? Are you efficient in whatever you are doing? So that is why, as a leader, give direction. Give direction. Because if you don't, you will not be able to lead your team to the desired promised land. Because success is not about you. Success is all about what? It's all about growing. When you become, sorry, it's not about yourself. Because when you become a leader, success is all about what? Growing. So before you became a leader, success was more about you. But when you become a leader, success is about growing what? Others. That is what Jack Welch, the CEO of General Electric at one point in time, he said, when you become a leader, success is about growing others. because you need to have successors. So that is why this Igbo proverb comes handy. And what does it say? It says, it's not out of the benevolence of the butcher that we get meat, but he is serving his interest. He serves our own. All of us cannot be butchers, but when the butchers is meat in the market or whatever, he can't eat it alone. He wants to sell. So, and he has to sell to us, those of us that cannot buy a whole cow. So we need to be there for one another. So serving his interest, in serving his interest, he serves our own. So that is why we need to serve. Now, this brings us to, I will stop at one point in time to ask questions. This brings us to what we call the corporate bones. There are 4 bones in the corporate. You know, normally they will say there are 4 generations or whatever in the workplace. It's the same thing as we have 4 bones within the organization. And that is what we call the wishbone, the jawbone, the knuckle bone, then the backbone. Okay? The wishbone, they are small. For those of us that know, when we were growing up, there was this small, when you eat chicken, there's this 2 tiny bit of bones that they say, if you want to make a wish, break them. Tiny ones like that, they form like V. You just break and say, I make a wish. Small, but mighty. You can't dare to swallow them, no matter how small they are. So the wishbone in the organization are the operatives that do the actual work in quantifiable terms in an organization. They're generally in the junior cadre, but very crucial to the success or otherwise of the organization. Managers must recognize their contribution. They are referred to low but mighty. They can throw spanner in the wheel of progress of the organization. They are the brother yellow of the organization. If they know where the nuts are, they know what to do to stop production. The jawbones are equally important. You know, jaw, you put something in your teeth, the jawbone must chew before you swallow. Okay, they are equally very important. They form the supervisory cadre. We don't dice with them because they are the 4 men. In those days, they do the work of 4 people. That's why they call them 4 men. Instead of 4 like this, letter 4, they change it to FORE because they can do the work of men. When the wishbone drop everything, they'll just roll up their sleeves and say, yes, we are ready to do it. They are the jawbones. So what do? They take instruction from the knucklebone and give instruction or directives to the wishbone. Then the knucklebone, who are they? They are the managers. They are the ones that we relate with all the time. That is where we are. They see today running of the business. They form the senior and executive management of the organization, and they are called the knuckle bones. Knuckle, move. This is it. When we say chop knuckle, this is it. Move. Wishbone, move. Chop bone, move. They are the ones that stand between management in the boardroom. That's where we are. And the employees. They are the drivers of the business. Okay. And the backbone, without the backbone, the spinal cord will not find somewhere to. So the backbone, they are the owners of the organization. Without their money, the organization will not move. But you hardly see them. But they are very important. So these are the people that make the corporate bones. They are the sponsor financiers of the business. If they withdraw their money, the organization goes under. So we need to look at it. HR, we need to learn to manage all these bones and be able to see what we can do. So let's quickly define attitude before I get to my question. We made some what do we call it now? Foundation to what we want to talk about. We talked about leadership. We talked about the people that make the organization think. We talked about culture that affect the leadership style. Now let's talk about attitude before we move on to put all of them together. Attitude is defined as a persistent tendency to think, feel, and behave in a particular way towards some object or persons or event. So it's very important that We need to look at our attitude, the way we think. You don't have to talk. But as you think that this person, you feel that way, and it makes you to behave to the person or to that event. It's already formed in your head. It's something that is within you. And somehow you just relate to that person that way. So it's very important that we look at it and say, when you enter a room, or when someone enters a room, the person doesn't have to talk before people will say, that person has an attitude. That person has an attitude. We have not said anything. The person has not said anything. And that is what the native people in, is it Yoruba now, or native people always say that attitude is like smoke. You can't cage it. It cannot be confined. Somewhere along the line, it will show, it will come out. So let's understand what attitude is all about. A settled way of thinking or feeling about someone or something. And it will make us to now behave whether positively or negatively towards that thing. So the impact of attitude on leadership normally affects our decision on the person or the thing, and it will now relate it to the individual. It will affect our communication and when we manage conflict. So, and the decision making has to do with what our attitude, our inner feelings, that feeling that nobody sees, that thought that nobody sees, but the attitude, the behavior is what people will see. And that is why we say, when you make the big D? The big D has to do with decision making. So to make success of your decision as HR, it has to do much with timing and the right choice. Is it right for me to talk about this in the presence of this person? Is it the right time? Am I making the right decision or whatever? So let's look at this 4 scenario. Wrong decision at the wrong time will give you disaster. Wrong decision at the right time. Call it a mistake. The mistake, the time is right, but the decision was not right. Like, let's give the example of when President removed oil subsidy. People said, hey, the time is not now. The decision was right, but it's unacceptable. It's the right decision, but the time was not right. So that means they didn't want to accept it. But the man said, this is the right time and it's the right decision. So he said, we are going to make a success of it. So you look at it, look at the timing and look at the choice that you're making. Do you want to crash land? Do you want to make a mistake? Do you want people to say, it's unacceptable? Or you want to continue doing it so that at the end of it all, you make a success of what we are doing? So let's quickly look at positive attitude in leadership. There's what we call positive mental attitude. Then there's also the negative attitude. More people want to talk about positive mental attitude, but it has to do with your state of mind. You have to be optimistic, you have to be open-minded, and you have to be resilient, that you don't give up easily. Okay? Because what you want to have is on the right-hand side of the screen. Win-win all the way. Even if there's any issue that falls your hand, as we always say, I want to win. I will bounce back. I will bounce back. That is resilience. So what are the benefits of optimism, open-mindedness, and resilience on leaders? It fosters a motivating workforce, motivating work environment, enhances problem-solving capabilities, and it builds trust and respect among teams. They will look at you that you always look at the positive side of life and you always want to win. So now, question time. I want us to type in our chat box the 4 personalities that you are seeing on the right-hand side of our screen. The one in suit, the one in sunglasses, the lady, and the baba in black and yellow cap. These are Nigerians. When I was saying that the people were mentioned, all the pictures that we saw earlier were mainly white. These names, these faces have gone beyond our shores. Your time starts now. Give me the names of these 4 Nigerians, these notable Nigerians that you know. Your time starts now. I want to start counting now. So let's look at it and see how these people have impacted Nigerian corporate space, leadership space. Oh yeah, now. Question time, lesson time. I don't want you to talk. Don't talk. Type, 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 type. Don't talk. Do not talk. Just type. Let me see. If you cannot hear it, it's not us, Elizabeth Grant. Okay. Okay, let's see. Okay. Professor Dora Akunyili, yes, please. The slide will be shared, please. Akunyili, yes, please. Yes, Akunyili, why is on it? Meitama Sule, yes. I said I don't want to hear your voice, please. Just type. Mute yourself. Yes, Dora Akunyili, yes. Kamali Alonosode, fantastic. Fantastic. Meitama Sule, yes. Remaining was okay. I said I don't want to hear your voice, please. Can you mute? Ayodele, please mute. Ayodele, please mute. Gamaliel Onosode, yes. Meitama Sule, yes, please. Who is that? Many one person. You have not been able to get. You have not been able to get the other person. Not been able to get the other person. No, no. Mekanyoku, no. Okay, if you don't know the man, can somebody please mute. Mute. You are bringing back echo into our discussion. Please. Okay. Now you cannot get the man in black and this. That is Baba Michael Omolayole. He's still alive. The other 3 are gone. Baba Omolayole is 97 now. Okay. 97, not Mele Kiyari. The Baba Omolayole, black in yellow, black with yellow, whatever, is Baba Michael Omolayole. Yes. Michael Omolayole is still around, 97. These are notable Nigerians that have put their footprints in corporate world. So their positive attitude have contributed to the success of so many corporate activities. Thank you for that. So leave all answers now. You move to the other one. So some of us are always wanting to be like them. So we need to see what they have contributed greatly to the corporate world in terms of leadership, their leadership style. Let's look at negative attitude in the corporate world, negative attitude in corporate leadership. They're always pessimistic, they're always resistant to change. They just feel that everything is about themselves. They don't have empathy, even where they feel that, oh, you are not talking of sympathy now, they're thinking of empathy. They put themselves first, not put themselves in other people's shoes. Okay. What are the consequences for leaders? They create a toxic work environment, high employee turnover, they reduction in productivity and innovation. So, I want us to also now look at some countries around the world. Somebody is disturbing by whatever the person is typing on our screen. Let us mention some countries around the world of an ineffective leader. Don't mention Nigeria. Type. Your time starts now. Your time starts now. Don't mention Nigeria. I will not take it. There's one pastor or somebody that is writing something on our Ganison Somi. You are writing something on our
And that writing is affecting us not to see clearly.
Somebody's writing something that is making us not to see clearly. Okay, countries that have ineffective leaders. Donald Trump, hey, don't let him come and drop something here. Mobutu Sese Seko, lọ́dún wo? North Korea, yes. China, Venezuela, Niger Republic. USA, okay now. North Korea, yes, I'll take that. Cameroon, yes, I'll take that. Cameroon, how can a 92-year-old man that has been there for over 40 years is still there, or 50 now? Cameroon, you are right. I buy that. Who is this? Great. Okay. Okay. America, Libya. Are we still hearing anything? Israel. Hmm. Ghana. Don't let those Ghanaians hear you, because they will say, no, Nigeria is worse off before, because they will start with our jollof rice before they start going to our leaders. Okay. Mali, North Korea, Venezuela, Cameroon. Yes, I take that. Niger, Cameroon. Yes, I'll take that. I'll take that. Ghana, Tanzania, South Sudan, I'll take that. Somalia, I'll take that. I said, Barrow, remove Nigeria. Remove Nigeria. Saadu Barrow, remove Nigeria. Mhm. Cameroon, Chad, Venezuela, Benin Republic. You are right. I will not say Afghanistan. Thank you. Osila, thank you. Afghanistan. Mexico. Hmm. Okay, now. Okay, thank you for your answers. You have your reasons for picking these countries. So, overview of their leadership styles and challenges they face. If you look at them and you see that they are negative in their own way. What would you say about Russia? What would you say of what's Russia? What Russia and Ukraine? Are they doing well for their countries? So it's up to you to decide. What do you think? So your attitude should be that we either make waves or ripples. And what do you do? Do you want to make ripples? Gradually, you make the change. Or you want to make waves that now, you must change. What type of leadership style is that? Look at it. Brrr, we change. That is what happens with coup. Or you make the change with ripple effect. One drop like this, it will spread. Which one is better? Change now, or with ripple effect. So your company, your department, or you, or your organization, what are you doing? What are you going to do when we finish this? So we want to look at, as leaders, as HR. For those who know the Holy Book, those who know what we call the Beatitude, but we are not talking of the Beatitude of the Holy Book. We're talking about the be attitude, the attitude that you should be, the attitude that you should wear as HR. That is the be attitude. Be aware of, care for, and capture hearts. Not blessed are the poor in spirit. Those are part of the beatitude. Blessed are the peacemakers. No, the be attitude in the work setting, in the corporate world. Be aware of other people's feelings, care for the way they behave, and capture hearts with the attitude as HR. So that is why Zig Ziglar said this. He said, you don't build a business, you build people. Then people build the business. That is why we still have Guinness. That is why we still have Heineken's. That is why we still have KFC. Because if you don't build people, you build business, the business will collapse after the founder is gone. But when you build people, they build the business. So what do you need to do? You need to commit to create a winning relationship. Recognize and reward excellence. Don't say that the business is not mine, I'm just HR. If you work in a toxic environment and you cannot change the place, change your setting. Or else you'll be working counterproductive and you will not be happy. You'll be working in a toxic environment. You'll just be there. 30 days make a pay. Is that what you want? Care for your people and they'll care about the job. That is why care plus respect will make people to stay. They will not japa on your organization. So learn to recognize and focus on the needs of those around you. Learn to recognize our own value, build our self-esteem first. You need to do that because you need to stand to defend what you are doing and understand. Then help others to recognize their value and their self-esteem. So let me quickly look at, with the questions, sorry. If there are questions in the chat box before we move, if you have any questions, I didn't see any when I was scrolling. So let's quickly move on. That is why, as a leader, it is said that an important aspect of leadership is to turn around and see who is following you. If not, you'll be taking a walk in the park, only you. So change your attitude. Have more of positive mental attitude. Because if you don't change, people will not assist you to get to that promised land. You'll be the only one doing what you are doing. The job will be only you, and they will not be there. And when the chips are down, okay, Olaiton visit. Let me finish with this slide, then I'll take your question. Gradual change that is accommodating. A great example in this context is USA. Haiti, yeah. Okay. You see, if you don't change, indeed you have to change because you are paid to produce results. Okay. And it is your people who produce the results. That is a truism. So focus your energy on helping your people to be successful. So let's take Olaiton Vincent Oluwagbemi's question. Let's see. I have a question. What should HR do in a situation where many employees are resigning because of the new management that is not listening to their concerns and creating a work environment that feels toxic? How can HR handle this? A management team that is dismissive of employees' challenges while still maintaining professionalism and protecting staff welfare. Okay, so many of us experience this, especially those of us that are in the private sector. Because if it is public sector, you have no choice. It is what the government gives you that you take, and whatever the leadership of that organization, that maybe federal government agency or ministry or whatever they give us is what we take. We have no leeway to escape. But if it is private, you will do what you have to do. Make sure you keep your records. Make sure you tell them, make them realize, inform them, not tell them now. Inform management, because at times management may be one man business and we say, where was your father when I was starting this business? They are not listening. They will say, I have so much loan in the bank that I have to pay back. So you have to run the show the way I want it, my own way. So if that is the situation you have put in, you have informed them of what is going on and they are not ready to keep your records, because one day, the owner of the business, the backbone, they will come and say, you did not do a good job, HR. That you did not do a good job. People are leaving our organization, and that is why some of them will not even agree to your saying we should train them, because they believe that if you train them, they'll run away. They will run away. So what do you want to do? So, but if you tell them that we are able to retain these people based on whatever the staff handbook and do that and do that. Remember what happened with Dangote and Dangote when he sacked those people for unionism and whatever. They were able to broker peace, but he was able to manage the way he wanted the organization to run. So some people will look at it that he was high-handed. Some people will look at it that he was just being patriotic. Some people will look at it from different perspective, because perception is different, and all of us will have to manage the organization, but make sure as HR, please keep your records, because one day something may happen and they will bring it to your doorstep. Keep your records, inform them at management. When you are in the boardroom, what is going on? What can we do? You may even throw it back at them. What can we do? Say, yeah, but you are HR or whatever. I say, yes, I'm HR. However, something like this happened in some organization and this was how they handled it. Say, well, no, we cannot handle it that way because that organization is different. It's not our own. But you have said it. You have informed them. So it's very important that you keep your records and be able to follow them the way they want the organization to be. Let's see. Somebody else saw something here. Oh, this is long. Ambassador Godwin Ibiang. Fellow, this is an adequate budgetary allocation, management, other members may face several challenges while discharging their duties, including inadequate budgetary allocation, government policy and political instability, management leadership style constraints, lack of exposure to international standard and experience, inadequate ICT infrastructure, the non-payment of membership subscription, failure to pay membership subscription can lead to a decline in membership and revenue. So these are some of the things that we should look at as HR. Some of this we will not be able to give you an answer or the answer. We can give you an answer, but as we always say in management, one size does not fit all. You have to pick the one that will help you to achieve. What can HR do in a situation where organization shows negative attitude to training and development of staff? That's a tough one. You as HR, you have to work in sync with L&D that they should show value for what management is going to get. Someone rightly said that when you want to catch management, put everything in figures or in money. That if you don't train them, this is what we lose. If we train them, this is what we gain within so and so. Put a timeline on it. Someone said if you want to get management, attach money and timeline, and you see if they will not give you. So it's now up to you to double your hustle to ensure that you deliver. So they will now support you. They will change their attitude, but you have to be able to manage and deliver. Delivery results is what they want. So how can HR balance loyalty to management with their responsibility? Haba, we can't tell you that you have to balance your loyalty to management or to staff welfare. Who calls the shot? See that what did you call it now? That triangle I gave us earlier, from top to bottom. Where do we want to be? I said that HR is the middle belt. Okay. Some of these things we can't tell you from experience. I may be coming with an experience from the public sector, and you are talking from the point of view of a private sector. I may be giving an example of solutions from the private sector, and you're in the public sector. So these are some of the things that you need to. Some of them you have to compare notes. That is why when you finish from this training tomorrow and you are inducted, you will know what would happen. You'll be on one of our platforms, one of our Telegram or WhatsApp group. There you can share your thoughts. Those who have the experience, who have gone through it successfully, we give you an idea of what you can do. So let's go back to our slides. I believe the single most, let's see who is this. How can HR shift negative culture now? That is, we will talk about this later. Let's quickly move on. You contribute, you have to change toxic culture without changing the policy. You have to change some policies and strategies for you to be able to move the organization away from toxic culture, because you saw that toxic is it communication that is affecting your people, or is it what is it? Look at that thing that the toxic environment that we mentioned earlier. So you need to look at it. So which one do you want to identify as the toxic this and toxic culture of your organization, and what are you going to do to assist the organization to move away from them? So you have to identify it. That is part is why you need an L&D person to identify the needs of the organization. Is it training or non-training for you to be able to eliminate toxic culture? It has to take a lot of training and needs assessment or needs analysis. So I believe the single most significant decision I can make on a day-to-day basis is my choice of attitude. It is more important than my past, my education, my bankroll, my successes or failures, fame or pain, or what other people think of me or say about me, my circumstances, my position. Attitude is that single string that keeps me going or cripples my progress. It alone fuels my fire, assaults my hope. When my attitudes are right, there's no barrier too high, no valley too deep, no dream too extreme, no challenge too great for me that you cannot overcome. Positive attitude, we get there. So attitude has a lot to do with job satisfaction, your own, your employees or those who are under your care, if you're a line manager, their job involvement and yours as well. Organizational commitment. How do you get management to get committed? How do you get the leadership to get committed in whatever you have put forward? Because everything will boil down to organizational behavior. Because if your organization is not right, then we need to freeze the people there, freeze your organization until you can find a cure for the attitude of your people that are there. We have to eliminate the toxic behavior. We have to eliminate what they are doing. Until we find solution to it, they will be in inertia. So transforming your attitude from negative to positive. One, emotional management, and that is what you call emotional intelligence. You have to be self-aware and reflect, because some of the things that we do, some of them are not just now. It's based on our reflection. How well have you done? What do you need to change? Then adopt a growing mindset that we need to change. That is why my great-grand-uncle, Martin Luther King Jr., he said, the right attitude. If a man is called to be a street sweeper, he should sweep streets, even as Michelangelo painted, Beethoven composed music, or Shakespeare wrote poetry. He should sweep streets so well that all the host of heaven and earth will pause to say, here lived a great street sweeper who did his job well. And many of us can say that of ourselves. So, what are the strategies for developing a positive attitude? Remember, we said all those things that we need to do. Focus, emotional intelligence, cultivating emotional intelligence. Remember, for those of us who watch Trump and Kamala Harris um, campaign trail, at the point they needed to face each other, Kamala got under his skin and he couldn't control his emotions. But America is not ready for a female president yet. If not, the woman was able to floor him on some of those things. Couldn't control his emotions. And you can still see that now as a leader. Because he's Trump, we cannot copy him. Because he's Trump, he can abuse people and get away with it. Because he's Trump, he can call Africa or Nigeria, is this a shithole or something? He can call the shot and nobody will say. But within our own space, we need to use our emotional intelligence to get people to work well for whatever we are doing. Okay? We need to build resilience to know that whatever stress that we are going through, we look at the positive side of it, that we bounce back. No matter how many times we've fallen, no matter how many times we have done what is not right, we bounce back to be able to do that which is right. And that is using our emotional intelligence. Let's look at this story, how attitudes are developed. Years ago, Paul Harvey described how Eskimos in the frozen North Pole killed wolves. They take a razor-sharp knife, dip it in blood, and freeze it. Next, they bury the handle of the knife in the frozen tundra with the blade sticking up. Wolves, attracted to the scent and sight of the blood, the coldness from the bloodstained frozen blade numbs the wolf's tongue, and by the time the wolf, reaches the blade, he is unaware that he's licking a sharp edge, and then begins to bleed. As he begins to bleed, he licks even faster until ultimately he bleeds to death. In many ways, this story describes the way people are lured into the trap of bad behaviors, absenteeism, complaining, lying, misuse of office time and resources at the early stage. Such a worker feels good when he becomes neck deep into the bad habit. he or she begins to lose sense of direction, purpose, reasoning. This may lead to such a person to indulge in stronger and more potent vices until they are permanently hooked and eventually thrown out of job. Interestingly enough, the wolf and the person with the bad behavior have another trait in common. Each of them give little or nothing for a huge reward. This is impossible. The proportion, the proportion of what you sow determines the size of what you harvest. That is why we call it the killer attitude. We've talked about emotional intelligence, sorry. We need to be able to manage our intelligence, make better decisions. You will read that as we move on. Before we end, well, I want us to remember the following. Invest in people. How do you invest in people? Take a deep look at leadership style and your associate, how your associate perceived you. What flaws can you identify in yourself and your associate, especially working relationship in your organization? People judge you by your action and not by your intention. Life is a license in forgiveness. To get ahead in life, build a bridge and not a wall. Do not end up like concrete all mixed up. Strive for purpose, positive change. For change is the only thing that is constant. Don't box yourself to the corner. See that man. He has painted everything. How is he going to get out of there? Before you start anything, learn how to finish it. So, remember, man is a three-dimensional person, physical, mental, and spiritual. So we need to be able to manage this so that we're able to manage the stress that people have. Get a shot of good attitude, vaccine of attitude. Take a step in life, okay? Offer life. Choose collaboration. Keep moving forward. Add integrity, discipline, trust into whatever you are doing. In conclusion, that is why my cousin, Obama, the first black man in the White House, says people must trust you. They must have faith in you. They must believe in you. So we should look at it that it is not by our own interest. We should not confuse confidence, resolute, and peace for weakness. We should be able to look at it. What are those practical steps for us to be successful in life? So let's quickly look at this. Let's look at um, what you call the next CEO. The next CEO is the story of this man. And that is what we are going to go to now. The next CEO, that's to do with leadership. A successful businessman was growing old, and he knew it was time to choose a successor to take over his business. Instead of choosing one of his directors or his children, he decided to do something different. He called all the young executives, he called all the young executives in his company together, and this is what he did. He said, "It is time for me to step down and choose the next CEO. I've decided to choose one of you." The young executives were shocked, but the boss continued. "I'm going to give each one of you a seed today, one very special seed. I want you to plant the seed, water it, and come back here 1 year from today with what you have grown from the seed I have given you." So, that is the seed. I will then judge the plants that you bring, and the one I choose will be the next CEO. That day, one man named Jim was there, and he, like others, received a seed. He went home and excitedly told his wife the story. She helped him get a pot, soil, and compost. He planted the seed. That's it. Every day, he will water it and watch to see if it had grown. After about 3 weeks, some of the other executives began to talk about their seed and the plants that they were beginning to grow. Jim kept checking his seed, but nothing ever grew. 3 weeks later, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, when 5 weeks went by, still nothing. By now, others were talking about their plants, but Jim didn't have a plant. He felt like a failure. 6 months went by, still nothing. Jim's pot. He just knew he had killed his seed. Everyone else had trees and tall plants, but he had nothing. Jim didn't say anything to his colleagues, however. He just kept watering and fertilizing the soil. So he wanted the seed to grow. A year finally went by, and all the young executives of the company brought their plans to the CEO for inspection. Jim told his wife he wasn't going to take an empty pot, but she asked him to be honest about what happened. Jim felt sick to his stomach. It was going to be the most embarrassing moment of his life, but he knew his wife was right. He took his empty pot to the boardroom, and what happened? When Jim arrived, he was amazed at the variety of plants grown by the other executives. They were beautiful in all shapes and sizes. Jim put his empty pot on the floor, and many of his colleagues laughed. A few felt sorry for him. When the CEO arrived, he surveyed the room and greeted the young executives. Jim tried to hide in the back. My, what great plants, trees, and flowers you have grown, said the CEO. Today, one of you will be appointed the next CEO. All of a sudden, the CEO spotted Jim at the back of the room with his empty pot. He ordered the financial director to bring him to the front. Jim was terrified. He thought the CEO knows I'm a failure. Maybe he'll have me fired. So Jim got to the front. The CEO asked him what had happened to his seat. Jim told him the story. See, the CEO asked everyone to sit down except Jim. He looked at Jim and answered and announced to the young executives, behold, your next chief executive officer. His name is Jim. Jim could not believe it. Jim could not even grow his seat. How could he be the new CEO? Others said. When the CEO said, then the CEO said, 1 year ago, I gave everyone in this room a seed. I told you to take the seed, plant it, water it, and bring it back to me today. But I gave you all boiled seeds. They were dead. It was not possible for them to grow. All of you except Jim had brought me trees and plants and flowers. When you found that the seed would not grow, you substituted another seed for the one I gave you. Jim was the only one with the courage and honesty to give me a pot with my seed in it. Therefore, he's the one who will be the next chief executive officer. The moral of the story: if you plant honesty, you will reap trust. If you plant goodness, you will reap friends. If you plant humility, you will reap greatness. If you plant perseverance, you will reap contentment. If you plant consideration, you will reap perspective. If you plant hard work, you will reap success. If you plant forgiveness, you will reap reconciliation. So be careful what you plant now. It will determine what you reap later. Whatever you give to life, life gives back to you, but gives you back. Live your core values and reap the returns. So, you see, when we talk about leadership, there is integrity in leadership, and we need to be able to be there to know that we are part of the success story of our organization. We need to be there to manage our leadership style so that when we leave, whether we leave or we are still there, we need to manage our attitude so that others will be able to assist the organization to grow. Remember, your attitude determines your leadership style. We've come to the end of the presentation for tonight. By God's grace, we meet tomorrow and we continue with another topic. So, our coordinator, what's the time now? Oh, to 10. You made it before 10. I said we finish 9:30 or 10. So, please, as you have not asked so many questions, we will keep your questions till tomorrow by God's grace and we'll talk. Let me see. There is one question there. Love it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Our coordinator. How do you motivate team members? You need to study your team members because there are different personalities within your team and know how you manage those ones. You can use peer influence. You can use your influence as a team lead to be able to get there. But it's influence that you get them to do. Identify their strong areas and you get there. The slides will be shared. Okay. Our coordinator, can I redesign your slides? Why not? If you want to. Yes, you can. No problems. Dorothy Simeon. Dorath Simeon. Yeah. Yes, you can. Okay. As our coordinator is not here, I will now close the session. We'll see you tomorrow by God's grace. Thank you so much and have a nice evening. Okay. Your slides will be shared. Okay. Thank you. Good night. Enjoy yourself.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you very much.
Good
Good
night.
Thank you. Good
Thank
night.
you, ma'am.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Good night.
Night.